Thailand is boring. It's finished. It's too expensive. People are leaving. The tourists aren't coming. It has lost its charm. Do you think Thailand is finished?
No.
And don't even get me started on the people here. The Russians, the Chinese, the British, the women, the taxi drivers. Everybody in this country is bloody awful. Which people in Thailand do you think are the worst?
Criminal.
I'll be honest, guys, that's all I seem to hear nowadays. Every time I go online, from the people who are here in Thailand, the people who are visiting, the people who are watching from afar, negativity seems to be trending. And this was never more apparent to me than about 18 months ago when a friend of mine recommended that I download TikTok. Easier to grow on TikTok than Instagram, he said. You can promote your YouTube videos. I downloaded it, I opened the app, and upon opening it, I felt like I'd walked into some sort of parallel universe, some sort of alternate dimension. Who the hell are all these people, and why are so many people interested in them? Wani Velvet, Bearded Travels, Tom Birchie, 500,000 followers. No offense to these guys, they're making a little bit of money off this, but it literally seems like people playing characters, acting out some sort of drama. I mean, you've got everything. You've got drugs, money, adultery, gangsters. It all seemed to be there as you were swiping from video to video, and for some reason everybody was eating it all up. So I posted a couple of videos. I thought, right, I'll share a couple of thoughts, I'll share a little bit of insight, make a couple of jokes. Lo and behold, some of these people, so the same people who seem to be eating that shit up, were suddenly eating me up too. And I thought to myself, why is this? So let's go back to what I said at the beginning. Thailand is boring. At times I do think Thailand can be a little bit boring. Nothing wrong with that. I think, in my opinion, when people think of boredom, they think of the opposite of boredom being excitement. But in the Western world, the opposite of boredom isn't excitement. The opposite of boredom is being busy. People are not complaining about being bored. Instead, they're complaining about being stressed, about being tired, about having no time. And I think it's that mentality that a lot of these expats bring out here. You need your little mind to be occupied with something at all times. Instead of embracing this new, freer, more peaceful, relaxing lifestyle, you find something to replace the stress you've left behind. I honestly think that's why you see so many guys out here going online, going on TikTok, going on YouTube, mainly with the intent of being destructive, of causing trouble, of writing dickhead comments, of bringing innocent people down. I had this theory that I discussed in a video that I did a little while back, where I said I don't think these guys are inherently bad guys. I think they just lack purpose. They've come out here without a real plan. Just move to Thailand, I'm gonna have the best life, live my best life. And then you get here, and yeah, you might be going out at night time. What do you do in the day when it's too hot to be going outside? Just sat there, you don't know anybody, you're alone. Of course, nobody's gonna admit to that. Nobody's gonna say, you know what, you're right. The reason I go online writing dickhead comments is because I'm bored out of my skull. Last week, I watched this brilliant YouTube video by this guy called Johnny Harris called Why Everything is Making You Bored. Those of you who don't know, Johnny Harris is from a journalistic background, but the big thing that he's got going for him is that he's got 6 million subscribers, well earned, I might add. And I think that means that when he decides as a journalist to dive into a topic, he has access, he has that clout to pull in the top professionals in that industry. And in this video, the first thing he says is, what is boredom? Studies have summarized that boredom is born out of a lack of purpose. Oh my god, am I some sort of fucking genius? But that's not all, guys, because then he goes on to discuss how the majority of people deal with boredom, and he says there are 2 distinct paths. Can you guess what path 1 is? Drop it in the comments down below. Path 1 is the path of destruction, or as these studies have labeled it, sadism, causing harm to others. One of the biggest studies on this topic found that when people caused harm to others, caused destruction, whether it be to their family, friends, or in the case of this study, the animals that were left in front of them whilst they were sat there bored, doing nothing, causing destruction, causing harm, gave the subjects that were being studied a sense of heightened purpose. Now, I've said for a long time that I think too many people come out here without a proper plan in place. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you come out here for a life of freedom and you enjoy that life of freedom, that is exactly the purpose you are doing what you are doing. I think with the Thailand social media space, and maybe other social media spaces too, people are watching either from in Thailand or from afar, and they're seeing this representation of perfection, this very staged representation of perfection, I might add. It winds them up, so they want to bring that person who is living the life they desire down. One of the most disturbing aspects of my short time in this Thailand social media space has been not only the comments about my wife, the disgusting, disrespectful, small-minded comments about my wife, but the people who comment on my child. I honestly cannot believe that human beings would write such vile things. So when people say that I'm aggressive, that I fuel the fire, it's because I don't take that bullshit. When people want to start talking about my wife, that is one thing, but she's a big girl. She knows how to handle that shit. But when they start to talk about your baby, we seem to live in this weird, wild west style society where it's like, you're putting stuff out there online, don't put stuff out there online, because that apparently gives anyone the right to write anything they like. To that I say no. And don't get me wrong, this isn't exclusive to just the online world. We argue sometimes, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Would you say we argue more on days when we're not busy?
Yeah.
Like if we go out for the day, we don't really argue, do we? But on Saturday we stayed home, and what happened?
We fight.
We had a bloody good fight, didn't we? Me and my wife argue because we have different perspectives on life. Now, as much as I have escaped the rat race back in the West, as much as I seem to have found myself living this more peaceful lifestyle in Asia, there's a certain mentality that I've brought out here, which is that I always want more. And I don't mean more for me, I mean more for her, more for my daughter. I want everything for them. And that can often sometimes lead to me feeling like I'm not doing enough, like I'm failing, like I am a failure. But she gets annoyed by that because we have a lot. We have a really nice life. And what she wants, because of the way she's been raised, is to focus on what we have, to live more in the moment, to stop thinking about the future, and to appreciate how lucky we are. On paper, I think her perspective is better. I agree with her, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong. We come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries, but most of all, we're just two different people. So having a slightly different perspective doesn't mean that one of us is right and one of us is wrong. It just means we see the world differently. Of course, she's from Thailand. Let's talk about Thailand for a second. We're the friendliest, warmest people that you'll ever meet, but it's not a rich country. We know that many people here in Thailand do struggle through life. They work long, hard hours to support themselves, to support their family. Like this, Thai people are so much warmer and so much more positive than many people from different countries. Now, let's compare these countries directly, but before living in Thailand, I lived in Korea and Japan, and their society is very different. The focus on education, the focus on career, the focus on being successful in life, being the best you can be in life, it takes its toll. People are expected to dedicate their lives to their job, working from morning until night. And what that means is that oftentimes people don't have the chance to create those family connections, those relationships, or if they do have a family, they don't get to spend sufficient time with them. It's because of these factors that both of those countries have some of the highest suicide rates in the developed world. It's a fact that I can unfortunately attest to. One day, many years ago, my wife and I, back in our early days, were walking through Ikebukuro. Periphery of my eye here, I just saw something fall from the sky. Everybody walked towards whatever this was. I wasn't really processing what was happening. I was just following the crowd, like, what is it? Oh my God, is it something that we can help with, etc. And the sight that I saw is something that I would never wish upon anybody. Thankfully, I was able to cover my wife's eyes before she had to see it too. But honestly, I've never seen anything so shocking and ultimately so sad. Now, Thailand is much further down those particular lists, and I'm trying to think how I can explain why I think that is. But I think it's because Thai people, they appreciate what they have, even if They do have struggles in life, and I'm sure a lot of people do have personal frustrations. Appreciate what they have. They want to make the most of life. Life here in Thailand is meant to be enjoyed. A walk down the beach, delicious, cheap, affordable food in the market, or watching a beautiful sunset end another day. Life here is to be enjoyed. We need to make the most of it. I think a lot of foreigners who come out here, once that little honeymoon period is worn off, they forget why they came out here in the first place. They revert back to the old ways, the stresses that they were experiencing back home with other stresses that are just fucking stupid, to be honest. TikTok drama, way other people are behaving online, etc. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. I mentioned earlier in the video that these studies suggested people go down two distinct paths. Path 1, aggression, sadism. Path 2, creativity. I honestly think in this day and age, it's a flex to be able to say that you don't go online looking for bullshit, that I have never written anything on anyone's content, videos, etc. unprovoked. Yeah, I'll stand up for myself. Yeah, I'll stand up for my wife, my baby especially, but I will not go online and just argue with someone, attack someone for no apparent reason. You know why? Because I'm better than that. And you know why else? Because my mum wouldn't like that. I've been raised better than that. If my mum, single mum who raised 2 boys, saw that while she was struggling through life at this age, I was out here arguing with faceless profiles online, getting wound up by some 22-year-old knobhead online, she'd be embarrassed. And it is pretty embarrassing that these platforms that do have so much upside have reverted into basically high school drama. That I choose to invest my free time into the things that I'm passionate about. Business, this YouTube channel. Sometimes people watch, sometimes nobody watches. It doesn't matter. It makes me happy. Obviously, I want the views to grow, but if they don't, it's not like I'm going to stop. I'm not going to give up, because this keeps me busy. This keeps me happy, and this gives me a sense of purpose on the days when there's not much else going on. So yeah, I do think Thailand can be a little bit boring sometimes, just like any other country. Sometimes it's a bit too hot to go outside. There's nothing to do inside. But it's on days like that we need to keep ourselves occupied the most, that we need to stay on the path of creativity and avoid that little turn off towards the dark world of sadism. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye.